Sometimes in life, you do not feel like showing up, but something inside you whispers do it anyway. And that small whisper is where consistency begins. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect mood, the right day, the sunny sky. But the truth is, success never waits for a perfect day. It only waits for consistent action. And I learned this the hard way years ago, when nothing in my life was working out. I had no money, no plan, and honestly, no hope. Every day felt like a burden, and every night felt like an escape. I was stuck in a cycle of starting things and quitting halfway every Monday. I would promise myself, this is it. I am going to change. But by Wednesday, I was back to my old ways. That feeling of failure, it does not hit all at once. It sneaks in slowly when you start breaking your own promises. The worst kind of failure is when you know you could have tried harder, but you just did not. And it took me months of that pain before I finally realized I cannot wait for life to push me. I have to push myself. I remember sitting in my room one morning, tired of the lies, tired of saying tomorrow I'll start, tired of feeling like I'm not enough. And I just told myself, today, I show up no matter what I do. Not care if I am tired, if I am scared, or if I fail, I will show up. And that one decision changed everything, not because magic happened that day, but because something inside me shifted. I stopped negotiating with my emotions and started negotiating with my dreams. I said, if I want this life, I have to become someone who keeps going even on the bad days. It was not easy in the beginning. My mind fought me every morning. It gave me 1,000 excuses. You are tired. You deserve a break. It is not working anyway. And for a while, I listened to those voices. But then I remembered something Napoleon Hill once said, that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. I held on to that line like a lifeline. If this struggle is painful, then the reward must be powerful. And so I got up. I started small. I committed to doing just one task daily. Whether it was reading a page, writing a paragraph, exercising for 10 minutes, I told myself, just do it, and slowly. Those small actions built momentum. My confidence was not built overnight. It came from showing up when I least felt like it and realizing that I did not die. I did not fail. I actually felt stronger. The consistency became my protection from regret. Because every time I showed up, I proved to myself that I was not weak. I was in control. And that is the greatest power you can have, the power to show up even when your mind tells you not to. Most people think success is about talent or luck. But the truth is, it is about keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. It is about becoming your own coach, your own motivator, and your own discipline master. And when I started doing that, life really did start falling into place, not because things outside me changed, but because something inside me became unshakable. I started realizing something powerful. Consistency is not about doing things perfectly. It is about doing them repeatedly. Even when I did not do my best, the act of showing up was enough to move me forward. And that made me think deeply about what Napoleon Hill meant when he said, you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. That one thought lit a fire inside me. I was not waiting for the perfect mood or the right moment anymore. I was creating my own moment by showing up again and again. It was like stacking bricks every day. One video, one workout, one mindset shift. And suddenly, I looked around and saw a foundation I had built, one that others thought appeared overnight. But I knew it was 1,000 days of silent effort. I started believing in the law of cause and effect. If I give effort every day, results must follow. And they did, slowly, quietly, but surely. That is the hidden power of consistency. It whispers in the background until it suddenly shouts through your success. People asked me, how did it happen? And I smiled, because I knew the real answer. They would not understand unless they lived through the quiet days when no one clapped, no one watched, but I still showed up. One day I woke up, and I did not feel like doing anything. I was tired, overwhelmed, and everything felt pointless. But I remembered what I had promised myself. I said I would be consistent no matter how I felt. So I got up anyway. I sat down, opened my journal, and wrote just one line. Then I did one push-up, and I read one paragraph of a book. That one small action reminded me that success does not come from motivation, it comes from motion. I learned from Napoleon Hill that action is the real measure of intelligence. And that hit me hard. All those people who talked, planned, dreamed, they were not making progress. But I was. Not because I had more talent or more time, but because I refused to break the chain. Consistency was not about doing everything perfectly. It was about not quitting on myself. Even when the voice in my head told me to stop, I kept moving. That is when I truly began to change. My self-respect grew. My confidence returned. And the results began to multiply. Not because I did something huge, but because I did something small every single day. That is the secret no one tells you. If you can keep going when you feel the weakest, you become unstoppable. I remember listening to Napoleon Hill's voice on repeat. He kept saying, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right." And that line shattered all my excuses. I always told myself I would start when I felt ready, when life calmed down, or when I had more energy. But those perfect moments never came. What I finally understood is that consistency does not wait for perfection. Consistency begins in chaos. It shows up when your life is messy, your heart is heavy, and your mind is filled with doubts. That is when it matters most. Because if you can push through the noise, you build a habit that no struggle can break. And that habit becomes your armor. It protects your dreams from your worst days. People around me started to notice something different. Not that I was working harder, but that I had become dependable, uncheckable. They saw me show up every day, even in silence, even when no one clapped. That is when everything started falling into place. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Because every day I moved forward, even an inch, was a day I won. That is what consistency gives you. A quiet kind of power that nothing can stop. The hardest part about being consistent is not the physical effort, it is the mental battle. Your mind will scream for comfort, for rest, for escape. It will tell you that missing one day is okay, that no one will notice, that you can always start again tomorrow. But tomorrow is a lie we tell ourselves to feel better. Napoleon Hill warned. U.S. Procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. That hit me hard, because every time I postponed my actions, I was not just delaying results, I was damaging my confidence. But once I started forcing myself to stay on track, something changed. I stopped negotiating with myself. I stopped giving energy to excuses. I created a schedule, a mission, and I treated it like survival. I showed up even when I was tired, even when I had failed the day before. And slowly, my brain stopped resisting. It started trusting me. That trust turned into belief, and belief turned into power. I was no longer trying to be consistent. I had become the kind of person who was consistent. And that changed everything. When I finally understood that motivation comes and goes, but habits stay, my life transformed. I stopped waiting to feel like it. Let me ask you, do you wait to feel like brushing your teeth? No, you just do it because it is part of who you are. That is exactly how I treated my goals. I did not wait to feel inspired to wake up early, to read, to work, to improve. I made those actions part of my identity. And consistency became easier, not because life became easier, but because my decisions were already made. Napoleon Hill once said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right." I read that line 100 times, but the day I lived it, that was the turning point. I realized that perfect moment was never coming. So I created my own moment. I forced myself to act every single day, whether I was tired, upset, or full of doubt. And you know what happened? Every small action started to stack up. One day turned into a week turned into a month into momentum. And momentum? It is more powerful than any motivation you will ever feel. There is something magical about doing the same thing again and again when no one is watching. It builds a quiet power inside you. In those moments when you feel like giving up, but still show up, that is where greatness lives. Napoleon Hill talked about autosuggestion, the idea that your repeated actions and thoughts reprogram your mind. So I started telling myself every morning, I am disciplined. I am focused. I do not quit. I said it even when I felt lazy, even when I wanted to lie down and scroll my phone. And slowly, my brain started to believe it. Your actions tell your mind what kind of person you are. If you act lazy, your brain says, we are lazy. But if you push through just one more set, one more hour, one more habit, your brain says, we are strong. Consistency is not about being perfect every day. It is about showing up every day with the decision that you will not quit today. That decision is powerful. That decision will build the life you are dreaming about. I remember one morning, cold and dark, when I really did not want to get up. I kept thinking, just one day off will not matter. But then I remembered what Napoleon Hill said. Procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. That hit me hard. I forced myself to get up, and that one act made the entire day better. That small win gave me momentum. And I learned something powerful. Consistency is like compound interest. Every small action, even the ones that feel pointless in the moment, adds up over time. You do not see the growth daily, but one day you will wake up and realize you have built something powerful. You will look back and say, thank God I kept going. You do not need to be fast. You just need to be steady. Let the world chase speed. You build power through patience and discipline. There will be days when nothing makes sense, when your results feel invisible and your motivation disappears. That is when most people quit. But that is also when the great ones are made. Because it is not about motivation. It is about decision. Decide to keep going. Decide to show up. Napoleon Hill once said, do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand. If you only move forward when life feels easy, you will never grow strong. The champions, the legends, the people who seem unstoppable, they are not special. They just kept going. Even when no one clapped, even when no one watched, they stayed loyal to their vision. So the next time you feel tired, frustrated, or invisible, remember, consistency builds character. And your consistency is your superpower. Use it. Most people want quick results, fast fame, instant success. But real success? It is boring. It is hidden in your daily habits. It shows up after weeks of no applause. It comes from doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Napoleon Hill reminded us, patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. You do not need a miracle. You need a method, a plan you stick to, a promise you make to yourself every morning. I will not give up today. And if you fail, get up tomorrow and try again. Because every time you show up, your mind gets stronger. Your self-respect rises. And life starts falling into place, not by accident, but by alignment. Consistency is not a punishment. It is a secret weapon. Think about your future self. The version of you 5 years from now. Would they thank you for today's choices or regret them? Napoleon Hill believed deeply in definiteness of purpose. He said, there is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness. Of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. So, ask yourself, what do you want badly enough to be consistent for? Maybe it is financial freedom, maybe peace of mind, maybe becoming the strongest version of yourself. That version will never arrive if you keep waiting for motivation. It will only show up when you start showing up daily, without excuse, without drama. This is how the winners are built. Not overnight, but brick by brick, choice by choice. There is a moment in every journey when things get boring, when progress feels invisible, and quitting whispers in your ear. That is the test. Napoleon Hill warned that most people give up when success is just around the corner. He said, most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. You will never see what is possible if you stop halfway. The boring days matter. The hard days matter. Every rep at the gym, every quiet night studying, every early morning you wake up instead of hitting snooze. Those are votes for your future. Be the kind of person who pushes through, even when it is silent, even when it feels pointless, because that is when breakthroughs are secretly being built. You may not see the reward instantly, but consistency is not about immediate success. It is about building a foundation that never cracks. Napoleon Hill reminded us that patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. Every day you show up, you are proving to yourself that you are worthy of the dream. You are telling the universe that you are serious. Life begins to respond when you do. The meetings you did not expect will happen. The right people will notice. The right door will open. But only if you keep walking. Consistency is the message you send to life, saying, I am not going anywhere until this happens. And eventually, consistency is not just a strategy. It is a mindset, a lifestyle, a silent promise to yourself that no matter what the world throws at you, you will not stop. That promise kept over days, months, even years, becomes the most powerful weapon you will ever own. So today, no matter how tired you feel, no matter how invisible your efforts seem, show up anyway. Do it for the future version of you who will thank you for not quitting. Napoleon Hill said it best, victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. You are that person. Keep going. Everything you want is already making its way toward you. You just have to stay consistent long enough to meet it. Before you leave, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more real motivation, and remember, we drop new inspiration every week to keep you strong. Now tell us in the comments, what is one habit you will commit to doing daily for the next 30 days?